Hi, this is Franz Merida, and you're listening to On Point the podcast, where we delve into conversations and discussions with our captivating guests. So get ready to stay informed, inspired, and up to date with various issues on point. Welcome na naman po dito sa isang episode ng On Point the Podcast. And for this episode, we have a very special guest. Siya po ay isang grief coach. Everyone, please help me welcome Mr. Kevin C. Mr. Kevin C., thank you so much for taking us to this conversation. And finally, welcome sa On Point the Podcast.
Thank you, Franz. Honored to be here with an invite from you.
Yes. Again, nais ko lang magpasalamat dahil for squishing me into your busy schedule. I know it's holiday season and maraming gatherings, reunions, and I believe no that our conversation is timely. And para simulan ang pag-uusap na ito, I just wanted to know your journey as a grief coach. Ano ba talaga itong tinatawag nilang grief coach? Is there a certificate to be one? And ano ba yung mga pinag-aaralan niyo dito, no? Just kumbaga just the viewers to know the kumbaga the outline. If you can share brief anything about it.
Okay, thanks for that question, Franz. So, yeah, I think it's being a grief coach is not something commonly you'd see in life, to be
Yes.
honest. I think people can die without knowing that there's such a thing as a grief coach. So, my journey to it actually is uh, the pandemic, I think it's 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my partner died in the COVID pandemic. So, I had a loving relationship back then, and we had high hopes. He was rising up to be a video game streamer, and things were going great. Like we
Mm-hmm.
had a good relationship, a loving chemistry, and whatnot. And suddenly, he got COVID, and it was quite a shock. Like never expected it. And then some of the family in the house got COVID, but they got over it. They healed, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yeah, you'll get through this. But what happened with him specifically was that it got worse and worse. And I kept telling him, no, you'll get through this. Just get rest a lot. You can do this. Until to the point that he got confined in hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
that got crazy, right? And we never got to say goodbye properly because I've always
Mm-hmm.
been that optimistic that hoping he'd heal because three people in the house were able to get over COVID. Uh, and so what happened was I lost that person and I lost him, and this was one of the highest points in my life because uh, the person was introduced to my siblings already, and we were really enjoying our times together.
Mm-hmm.
So I I never knew it back then. I thought it was depression. That I was depressed, right? That's the
Okay.
reaction. I'm sad. I didn't have capacity for life. I didn't have any motivations and whatnot. And then what happened was my brother who came across this person. Her name is JM. And she trained for this specific uh, what do you call this craft, which is grief coaching. And so I'm not sure if I'm sorry. There's a stigma in psychology, right? We're not sure. We're not sure
Mm-hmm.
if we want to go there, or we're not sure if we wanted to take those medicines, right? So, but a grief coach sounds more tame, if I may put
Mm.
it, right?
Mas.
So what happened was he said, "I know this grief coach. Maybe you'd like to try it with her and have some
Mm-hmm.
sessions." And I did have some sessions with her, and it was the most it felt like a weight I didn't knew I had was getting lifted. And I didn't
Mm.
know how. That's the most brilliant part of it. Like I stayed with the session, she gave me a lot of time, and then I was able to feel far lighter than I've ever been. And in the times where I was quote unquote depressed, where I didn't have the session, I had rifts with my brother, my sister. So I was
Mm.
really, really destructive. It's like I was never who I was. I lost all identity, all future. And I was just this shell of myself. It feels like a walking zombie. I couldn't enjoy games. I couldn't enjoy, family. I couldn't enjoy anything. And when I was able to get coached, I was able to regain some of that self that I had. That it inspired me so much that I told my grief coach that if I could just do the thing that you did for me to one person, it would
Okay.
completely,
That
like it would.
that that moment inspired you to be one, to be
Yes.
yes, okay.
So
That's
this, yeah,
yeah, that's
this
good to
story.
know, no? That's good to that's good to know that you are inspired with this one person, and that then you basically pay it forward, and there you are, no? And until today you're still doing it. May I ask how many years you've been doing this grief coaching
I believe I started training in 2022.
dito sa Pilipinas, or ano ba?
Ah, no, 2021, I think. Sorry.
Kasi when I read about that, na parang there's a grief coach, parang ako din, hindi naman ako natakot, parang na-surprise lang din ako na may grief coach pala dito sa atin. But,
Mm,
it's kind of, yeah. Then I always believe that this season, or the holiday season, is always the right time to talk about it, because people are getting extra, parang getting extra sad. Medyo ako din, kasi ganun din yung feeling ko, eh. Parang medyo nasa-sad ako during holidays. I don't know why. So parang I I badly had to do this episode, not only for me, but for those of my friends na parang nawalan ng nawalan ng kaibigan, magulang, or whatsoever. But I just want to ask you, can can we equate only grief? Can we equate grief only sa nawalang uh, partners or family members, or not necessarily? For example, sir, yung parang mm, kung parang, kasi I wanted to know if grief is only, or can you only equate it sa mga relatives, friends? Parang for example, no, as petty as pets, pwede ba yun? Parang can you consider that, or parang simply as may nakakausap kasi akong mga tao na parang they've lost themselves for quite a while, parang hindi na sila as passionate as the same sa mga whatever passions that they have. Can can you equate that grieving also?
okay, that's a great question, and I'm coming as a grief coach, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
also, by the way, just a small trivia. I'm also studying Masters of Psychology because I really want to understand that those questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I think the dictionary definition of grief is the emotional response to loss of a loved one. But I would
Mm-hmm.
argue a lot to that yes, it should stop at intention as an intense emotional response to loss. Period. Because
Okay.
here's the thing, like when we lose a person, yes, we grieve a lot. But as you've mentioned, a pet is as well. I think in one of the books called The Grieving Brain, it's been studied that emotion, when we talk about humanity, kasi we think emotion, memories, right? And these things boiled together as humanity, right?
Okay.
But if we think of the science of the brain, purely science of the brain, the reason why we grieve is because we've created habits over their certain periods of time, and then we
Mm.
lose it.
Okay, nakasama yung person or yung pet, for example,
'Di
'no?
ba? So,
Okay,
for
okay, okay.
pets, gumising ka, you're
Nga
expecting
parang
this cute dog to
yes.
ano, and you're
Mhm,
expecting to
mhm.
be bothered, or you're expecting at night you're going to walk, and suddenly you don't have those urges anymore. And
Okay.
your brain's like, wait, so, right? Something's itching, something's wrong,
Mhm,
something's, and you
mhm.
remember those losses. So, for me, when I do grief coaching, some people will think, ay, para sa namatayan lang, yan. But if you talk with people in breakup, it's exactly the same as if they
Mm.
someone died with them. It's
Yes,
also
yes.
the same for people that have big investments because they
Okay.
projected their future. They've seen their future about that. They've created habits and practices around that future. Checking the news, ano nangyayari, oh, exciting to pass
Okay.
by, and things like that. So you've created the future around those things. You've created habits and practices surrounding to that possible future, and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have at the root of it an intense emotional response to loss.
Okay.
So for me, it is still grief.
Maganda, no? Yeah. Na-answer na yung first, ko. Well, moving to that, how do you, again, if you can share the process, no, without naming the clients or whatsoever, kasi alam ko may mga absolute confidentiality. But can you give us the process on how you go over, I don't want to call them patients, but clients? How do you go over your clients? I mean, do they call you? I mean, if you can share us the process when there is that person A na parang gusto nila na, I want to avail this grief services, grief coaching services of Mr. Kevin C. Ano ba yung usual process, no? If you can give us, no, or tell us what you can share without naming any clients naman.
It's I have a site. It's kevinc.com, and there's a booking form there that you can see the schedule, take a schedule, and then book it. Then we'll talk about payments right after the session. Once we're able to have a relationship chemistry, because I do believe that not all therapists can serve everyone. There are some people that like it more strict, right? There are some people that like it more
Okay, okay.
kind. So chemistry is very important to me, especially in the aspect of emotions. Emotions are
Mm-hmm,
very,
mm-hmm.
very lucid, right? It's up and down. You can't predict those things. I'm willing to ride that whole roller coaster with you, but if you don't like me, it's okay. Like that's very acceptable as a human. So the first process is definitely go to my site kevinc.com. There's a booking form right there. Pick a schedule that's available. I'll tell you if most of the time, like 99% of the time, I'm available once it's listed there. But there are some technical difficulties or surprise schedules in the way that I do that. I'll tell you, hey, I'm sorry, there's something important that came up. Can I reschedule you to this time? And I'll reschedule you on that time. So I'm still
Oh,
working on some payment gateway methods, so that you could pay as you go, so that the process is much smoother. But for now, the payment is right after. I'll
okay.
talk about payment methods. It's
Mm-hmm.
via Zoom, by the way.
Okay. Um, kat, I just want to get no na parang how do you screen these clients? Parang may nagpupunta ba sa inyo na they think they're grieving pero hindi naman? I mean, things like that na parang do you parang said na parang, you don't need my services, or you just accommodate them, no? The fact that they booked a parang coaching session with you, or do you parang say na parang, hindi mo pa kailangan 'to, or do you refer them to other professionals, other like that, or wala naman, no? Parang when they booked, of course, they basically need your services.
I'm not going to pretend to that it's the ultimate silver bullet for everything. So if I have a patient that I've seen that has PTSD, I recommend them towards a psychologist
Mm.
that works with PTSD. But here's my perspective, and it can be, I think, a little bit controversial. A lot of depression and anxiety can come from loss. If you think
Okay.
about it, right?
Oh, that's a
So
very
think
a very
about your
new
right.
idea.
I think it's a little bit controversial, but think about your friends, and if they're depressed, ask them a little bit about why, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
notice some answers. And some of these things can be in the perspective of a loss. Example, some of the people have depression, not and you're gonna ask them a little bit, and it's because they were hoping for a better parent. There was hopes or signs or a different things that they were jealous of that they feel they weren't given,
Mm.
and that's loss. That's still loss
Loss.
in a conversation, because people grieve for that chance to have a good father, a good childhood, and they're going
Okay,
to say,
okay.
I always hate it, I always wanted those things, and it was never given upon to me. So a lot of anxieties and depressions, for me, in the way I've conversed with clients, comes from loss and being able to frame that loss correctly.
Mm.
So when I work with these people, I talk about, usually it's, what do you think you should have whether it's opportunity, whether it's finances, whether it's relationship, and let's talk about those things. And the next one is to be able to properly think about those losses. Because if you're always going to think, I should have had that family, I should have that parent forever and ever and ever,
Okay,
and you
okay.
spiral down on those things, you
Mhm,
get depressed, right? You get right that the world has dealt you a bad hand.
mhm.
But if you're able to frame it correctly, that you could change those things, you could find different families, then you get better and better and better.
Okay, very good. Ganda ng ano, susunod is that, is there a parang na nab nababasa o naririnig ko talaga ito minsan 'no, parang when we talk about grief, but I wanna ask you, is there a parang proper way of grieving and extreme to it? And 'di ba parang, is there a proper way of grieving o wala naman talaga, it depends on person to person na parang, for example, 13 years nang nawala yung, ah, parent for example, but they still si they still parang 'pag tinatanong sila, kahit 13 years nang nawawala yung parents for example, they still, they still are grieving. Is there a proper way of grieving and an extreme? Parang w I mean, I want to get the ano of, as a coach na parang, do you tell your clients na, "O 'pag dito ka ng level, this is already extreme and kailangan dito ka lang," or talagang hinahayaan mo lang yung clients mo to navigate their emotions, gano'n?
Okay. So first, let's define some types of grief, no? Kasi sila yung mga 13 years tapos depende rin sa,
Oy,
uh,
example lang yon. Wala
it's
akong
okay.
yeah.
No, no, no. I've dealt with some na, um, namatay yung parents niya at childhood,
Mhm.
then had a coaching section at 60 years old
Hmm,
because he felt like it really affected him and he
mhm,
really needed to process that.
hmm,
Okay, so
mhm,
again, you're not wrong to be honest. There are those instances that we really need to process those emotions and loss. We
mhm.
might delay them, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're gone. Okay.
Okay.
So I've been grieving. I've had the loss for at 2020. It's 2024 right now. I still
Yes.
grieve about it at times. I still feel like, I still don't want the loss with me. I still sometimes have sorrow over it. So
Mhm.
grief is, I will always say that grief is not something that you, what do you call this? You heal from. The term is not healing from it. It's befriending.
Okay, okay.
So people that says heal as if para siyang sipon that, oh, you heal from it like
Hmm.
it's gone for a season. It's not. You befriend it because it will always be there. It's like a family.
Kumbaga tatamaan ka talaga anytime, any day, gano'n, 'di ba?
Anytime
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's gonna return.
Hindi pala
Yes,
totoo yung parang, I've moved on, parang mas totoo yung parang nasasanay lang pero andiyan pa rin 'no, parang gano'n.
that's
Okay,
my perception of it. So
okay.
I'm not gonna discredit people that says that way, but our personal
Mm.
belief as grief coach is that you don't heal from it. There are people that again, 13 years, you won't be surprised that they still grieve. Like it's not that when we say grief kasi hindi yung ano, oh namatay yung tatay ko, he was such an asshole. That's not grief. But when you say na, oh kamusta ka na, they parang shocks, bumalik sa akin yung memory ng father ko and
Hmm.
sim, parang ganon. Those are still grieving, right? Um, so yeah, going back to your question, I,
Mhm.
I just wanted to make it clear that there are different types of grief. That the normal grief is parang typical loss. Pero may kita mo, may 5 stages of grief, right? The anger, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But they're going through it in a way that you think, um, that has emotion that's not fluctuating high. Like they're gonna have a lot of conversations, they're gonna have these thoughts, but after 6 months or 2 years, parang nagkaka-stability siya. And usually this is because they have good support systems that they can trust. Uh, so the second one is anticipatory grief, which is
Mhm, mhm.
hindi pa namamatay yung tao or nawala na, they have the perception na nawala na. And I've honestly
Hmm.
experienced this because when my partner was dying, when he was infected and when he was at the hospital, right? I denied the idea that he's going to die,
Mhm.
and I was worried that of what I will do after he dies, that I forget. to treat the present as where he is. So that's the thing about anticipatory grief, right? Like you're so focused on the past and the future that you forget the present.
Mhm.
The one that you're talking about is called complicated grief. So when it's super extended beyond 2 years, and they still have, a lot of regrets, what ifs, and they still long for the partner to be to come back into reality, like to be alive. And so for those people with complicated grief, the thing about grief kasi is that it's a social, what do you call this? It's a social event. No one is meant to grieve alone. Like no one
Mm,
can really
mm.
truly heal grieving by keeping it all to themselves.
Ah,
Grief is meant to be expressed. Grief is meant to be told. Grief is meant to be
mm,
shouted on the top, to be
yes.
known and understood.
Kumbaga mahalaga sa grief is the strong support system, whether family, friends, kahit
Yes.
coworkers, no? And kaya
Yes.
po sila nandito si Sir Kevin for us, no? To process all these things. And
I would gladly.
yun nga, parang yun yung parang ang ganda kasi hindi ka nag-iisa sa pagluluksa mong 'to, whether or not kung ano man yung dahilan mo 'no. And ano lang, I'm very happy to to be listening into this conversation na parang hindi na siya nagiging taboo dito sa atin 'no.
Yes, it's the
Culturally parang
taboo.
ang hirap 'no, parang ang hirap kasing because they equate it to, something in the mental side. But again, it's we have to talk about these things to really shut out or shut off the stigma.
Speaking of stigma, the final type of grief is actually disenfranchised grief. So, you think na ano yun, parang, and disenfranchised grief is one of the worst kasi yun nga yung stigma. It's when
Mhm.
people are not validating or recognizing your loss. Alam mo yung sa
Hmm,
atin, may culture tayo na
okey,
ganyan.
okey.
Sasabihin niya, oh, namatayan ka, trabaho mo lang yan. Like, keep yourself
Okey.
busy.
Mm,
Hindi importante part yan ng buhay mo.
okey,
And that causes disenfranchised grief. Kasi nagtatanong ko ngayon, if important people in your life are saying, hindi, magpaka-busy lang ako, wag ko i-acknowledge yung grief, mawawala rin yan someday. You're both saying na, okay, dapat I would have healed if naging busy ako, pero bakit hindi ako nag-heal kahit busy ako? And you have that turmoil in you, and this causes serious depressions and disorder because it's not being validated, it's not being acknowledged, right?
mhm,
And to answer your first question before this is what we do as a grief coach. It's
mhm,
acknowledging grief and making sure it's heard, making sure that you have a safe space to express as raw, as wild as you need to be to express these things. So a lot of things in complicated grief is actually telling stories, being able to express emotions, being able to tell truths that they believe in. What ifs, no matter how shameful it is. So complicated grief or grief, like emotions, right? If you're super happy, imagine like suppressing that for 2 years, right?
mhm,
You're gonna blow up someday negatively, to be honest. Same with sadness, and grief is an intense emotion. So you're expecting this person to bottle it up all inside him for 2 years, not expressing anything, right? So for us grief coaches, the first goal in complicated grief is just to hear out the person, no matter how wild that their expression is, their story, their thoughts. The goal is to hear these things out and for them to hear it themselves. Kasi when we
mhm,
have these things, it makes sense pag nainisip lang natin if we're all in our head. But when we say it, sometimes you're like, ano hindi pa mangyayari yun?
hmm,
Tapos you start to get more clarity.
okey. Um, Ifa-follow through ko lang yung parang after the session ganyan, do you have any exercises, may it be breathing or pinagsusulat niyo ba sila sa mga diaries ganyan, tinatawag nilang CBT or the cognitive behavioral therapy, or you do something like that, or ano yung parang kumbaga kasi hindi naman tayo palaging nagse-session 'no? I assume dahil bago pa lang ang konseptong grief coaching dito sa atin, medyo the price is quite high. I don't know 'no, hindi ko alam. Kasi I've never availed naman of but do you have parang just to continue the, the healing in the home. I mean, what do you tell your clients na parang, do you advise them to write in their diaries, to, to talk to friends as possible?
Uh, Interesting question. So I'll first answer, I think, a lot of people that's going to ask about my services. And no, I've priced my service. So a psychologist, have you ever checked their prices?
Well, sorry, what?
They're
Wala.
ranging for about 1,500 to 2,500. I also have
Mm,
therapists myself. I make sure that my price is at 1,000, which is as much as possible
mm,
for it to be affordable
okay.
to people. And the reason why is because let's admit it, kung may depression ka, it impedes your work. Some people have money for that. Pero ang naman hindi sila masyado gusto gumastos. So I try to
Mm-hmm.
understand those people, right?
Okay,
You don't have the
okay.
perception na nawala na ako and then I'm going to cost more. So I tailor fit one of my pricing to make sure that I can reach out to those people. And again, my personal belief is not to diagnose these people such as depression and anxiety, give them medicine, but in my belief and in my perspective, my depression, in my personal experience, came from grief.
The,
And being
mm-mm.
able to solve those grief helped me feel better. So
Mm,
I charge usually 1,000 pesos for my services so that it's far more affordable than
mm-hmm.
psychology. As for CBT, these are there are specific courses for these na therapy, right? I haven't had those yet, but I'm still studying on it, and I know that it's very very effective. Am I
Mm,
going to say, oh, I do CBT as the term legally? I'm not saying na I'm certified on it, but I've studied the principles about it, and I think it's very very true, right? When we say CBT, the belief is that the thoughts influence our behavior, and the behavior influences our feelings.
mm-hmm.
So the goal is to be able to understand our thoughts, so that whatever that is influences our behavior, and then our behavior influences our feelings. What does that mean? If you're always thinking, um, walang kwenta ako, napakabobo kong tao, then your behavior becomes you're not challenged because you already gave up on the opportunity to be better, right? So you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
sulk around, not do anything, uh, stand still. Kasi sinabi mo, bobo talaga ako eh. I'm not good for anything. And that behavior influences your feelings. And your feelings is to become depressed, di ba?
Mm,
Okay, if your behavior is just to lie down, sleep, di ba? Then you're gonna have then you're gonna pivot, you're gonna spiral down into depression. But being able to change that and say, okay, why are you feeling useless? Then you start to understand, for example, that's what your father told you, di ba? And you're gonna ask, okay, is your father's words absolute truth? Then you're gonna understand, you know what, parang hindi. But it's drilled down to you as a kid, right? So what can we do to change that? Is there something that you love to do? Okay, have you been doing it? What are the things that you're going to do to improve? And then once, for example, you like when I was a kid, I like drawing, pero hindi lang ako finan. How about you buy a pencil, a drawing book, right? And start to do those things. So you start to try to draw. And now your behavior becomes different. You start practicing. And by practicing, you start feeling good about yourself. I think there's far more to it, but that's the
mm-hmm,
simplest
mm-hmm.
idea. The thoughts change our behavior changes our
Okay.
feelings. And I think that can be applied in grief as well, but after, when all the grief is gone. Because again, I cannot tell you what what necessarily to do. I think people that are grieving don't like to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
What's important for people that are grieving is to be heard. So the
Okay.
first sessions are going to be about more of listening to this person. It's called in what I studied. It's called a Rogerian therapy or person-centered therapy, which we start to look at the person and say, okay, this session is for you. Anything that's going to happen here is centralized about how you are and who you are, and let's move
Okay.
on. To that.
Pero again, I just wanna make clear, parang I just want to make things clear, no? Hindi siya nakakuha sa isang session lang. They have to do it as many sessions, and they have to follow the orders of their grief coaches, whoever their grief coaches may be, no? Is that right? Or
Uh, Okay, there was one question I didn't answer pala, which is activities. I don't impose activities. Again, for the grieving, usually it's not, you don't impose upon them.
okay.
Because if you imagine, if you lose someone, you don't necessarily being like to be bossed around.
Okay.
You tell them, if you can do this, do this. So I encourage journal. So journal is more of, hey, this is what I'm feeling today, and this is what happened. But I also encourage writing letters to what you lost, especially if this is a person or a living being. So if you lost a family, if you've lost a partner, to write letters to them as if they were alive. Like, this is how my day is. I missed you today. We've usually eaten in this nice restaurant. I wish you could be here. Those things help us maintain that connection that we lost, especially if it was very instant. Okay, so we tend
Mm-hmm.
to let them live a little bit longer. As for your question, if I have specific assignments, again, grief coaching, as much as I like it, is not imposing. You have these people that
Okay.
lost a lot. You don't want to boss them around. I will encourage them to book another session at this time, but it's never, hey, this is see you next Tuesday. That's not something I
Okay.
necessarily impose on people,
Okay.
because grief can be very different. I've had a lot of people that booked sessions for me and then had to move because they couldn't take it. And
Okay.
I totally understand that as someone that comes from the exact same place.
Okay, just to close the conversation, siguro hingan na lang kita ng message uh, dun sa mga patuloy na nag-grieve, paano especially this holiday season. Alam ko mahirap kasi holiday season, parang I understand 'no, na parang lahat nagsasaya and they're this person na parang hindi siya masaya because nawalan siya ng pet or relative or friend. What's your message to them and sa lahat ng mga, just to shake off the taboo in, in when dealing with these grief coach concepts, no? What's your message to sa lahat ng makakapanood at makakakinig ng ating pag-uusap na ito?
I think there are two things that I want to talk to. The first one is, as you said, the grieving. So there is no wrong way to grieve as long as you're not hurting someone, which
Mhm.
means everyone grieves differently. If you have to buy that childhood toy that you've always wanted as a child to heal, go do it. If you wanted to dance alone, right? Watch movies alone, laugh at a comedy bar, do it. Everyone is unique. I've never found people that have the same exact way and be in the same level of happiness.
Okay.
So whatever you're going to feel that you should do, do it as long as you're not hurting anyone else.
Okay.
Okay? So second, I think society has always told us you have to suppress your emotions to be a good citizen, right? There has to be a certain template of your intensity of emotion. Hanggang dito ka lang, and hanggang dito ka lang, and everything at those ends is like crazy, right? But when you're grieving, you're supposed to feel like and when I say feel, like express. So in grief coaching, it's very important that I say this feel that if you're happy, feel free to just laugh it out loud at this moment. If you're feeling sad, cry it in this session. I want us to see you cry. You're not supposed to suppress it in this time that we have together. If you're
Mhm.
angry, shout at the mic. I want to hear you raising your voice. And if you have to magmura ka, good, and things like that, right? You
Mhm.
cuss, because those things, that feral rawness, is very important for us to go back to, because I'm sure you've practiced long enough to be in this middle ground of a good society, a good person in society, right? So you have to feel all those emotions. um Third is to have some way to express those emotions,
Okay.
whether it's writing, whether it's a friend to tell those stories again and again. um yeah, that's for the ones that are grieving. So don't suppress all these things to yourself. Find someone that you can trust, that you enjoy talking with, have some coffee with them, tell those stories, right? And the other person that I want to talk about is us, people that are who are or at least people who are grieving. Sorry about that, not necessarily us. I'm not sure if you're grieving. I can be grieving as well right now.
Mhm.
But for the people that are not grieving, uh, you can be, these champions against grief, right? Or being able to be what I like to call us is safe spaces, right? And when you want to be a safe space,
Mhm.
there are things that you have to understand about grief. Number one, there is, um, I've noticed that a lot of people that are grieving don't like talking to their family or people that are familiar to them. And the
Hmm.
reason for this is because we
Mhm.
like to be able to express grief in a clean slate. Because when I talk to family, when I talk to friends, there's the idea that, oh, I maybe baka pagod na sila dun sa storya na
Mhm.
yun. Or baka alam na nila to, yung perspective na to, at baka i-correct nila at sabihin nila, hindi naman siya ganyan eh. Like, alam mo yun. And it's important to be a safe space that you're not there to get input, to put inputs. You're there to listen. You're
Mhm.
there to understand, to get these emotions out of them. You don't have to absorb them necessarily, but I'm sure that I think that's one of the hardest training that I had, to be
Mhm.
able to make sure that the emotions, all of this, them are not sponged up to me, because it gets really depressing. But to be able to listen and to see them express these and to see them change, to become a better person, to become a lighter person. So to
Mhm.
be a safe space is to be able to understand that you're not here to have the inputs, you're there to listen and to listen without any judgment. Like, whatever
Mhm.
they're going to say, whatever they're going to express, whether it's false or not, is not up to you. You're just there to just for them to be able to converse to. Number two, again, you welcome these emotions. You don't become embarrassed when they cry.
Mhm.
You say, "Oh, you're crying. That's great. Like, okay, you're shouting. Oh, what are you angry about?" Right? And I think the last thing, if you really want to have a level two of a safe space, is talk,
Mhm.
converse in questions. I think one of the meanest things that will or I think one of the greatest mistakes that's being said to grieving person is that it gets better, or kaya mo yan.
Mhm.
And those are when someone's grieving, like you don't see them being tenacious necessarily and saying, yeah, kaya ko yan. Right? When someone's
Mhm.
felt the
Yes,
loss,
correct.
they're really having a hard time, and what they need is someone not necessarily who projects like a great future for them, but to understand where they are now. So if you want a really safe way to be able to comfort the grieving, is to answer, to converse in questions. Like, for example, how are you feeling? And when they say, I feel lost, I really don't understand what's next, and you're gonna be like, what made you feel lost?
Mhm.
Right? Sabi niya, and oh, because this person was everything to me. We had a great future, right? This is where he or she was the perfect person I really want to be. They matched all my checklists. What's those checklists that made them feel special, right? So it's a challenge for us to be safe spaces on what's happening, because I think we don't have a lot of those. We have a lot of people that you couldn't trust, that are looking for gossip, that are just there for themselves, that would get irritated when it comes to conversations that are not about them. So my challenge to everyone that's going to listen: if you're not grieving, be a safe space to everyone else. If you're grieving, find someone that you can express your emotions to, or a channel that you can express your emotions to. Don't be embarrassed about it. Go as raw as fair as you need to be.
Mhm.
Or if not, you know where to find me. It's at kevinc.com, and let's have a session together.
And that's it for this week's episode of On Point the podcast. Don't forget to follow us on our official social media accounts to keep you updated. This has been Franz Joshua Merida. Until our next conversation here on Point.